Okay, let's get busy here. It's just really actually kind of awkward because I'm sitting in the hotel lobby trying to finish this presentation because I didn't have time to do it later, and so I feel like all these people are going to be looking at me while I'm doing this. But oh well, we got things to do. So welcome again, my friends. It's been a long time since I've seen you. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the reasons that allowed Britain to industrialize first. And so when we look at the Industrial Revolution, it happens in Britain first. And then other countries kind of maybe look at Britain and go through a same type of thing. You know, the United States follows shortly thereafter. Germany follows thereafter. Canada follows thereafter. And so it just kind of spreads. And I want to look at a website here that it's Wikipedia, and I know it's not the most credible site to use. Obviously, I tell you not to do it, but I think by looking at this first paragraph, it tells us a little about the Industrial Revolution. And so if you just want to follow along with me here, the Industrial Revolution was the transition to new manufacturing processes that occurred from about 1760 to sometime between 1820 and 1840. This transition included going from hand production, hands, methods to machines, new chemical manufacturing and iron production processes, improve efficiency of water power, the increased use of steam power, and development of machine tools. The transition also included the change from wood and other biofuels to coal. The Industrial Revolution began in Britain and within a few decades spread to Western Europe and the United States. Now, by looking at this site, first of all, revolution should be capitalized, so we know it's not really a very credible site, but I actually would agree with all this stuff that's happening. So new chemical manufacturing, iron production, so we're going to learn to smelt things, break down iron, get rid of its impurities, add coal, it makes it really hard. We already know about water power. We already know about steam power. And the change from wood to other biofuels like coal. So, for example, what we're going to realize is that Britain is going to deplete itself of wood, and wood only burns for so long. Coal itself burns hotter for longer, and coal itself is all carbon, which makes things harder. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at here. So what the major focus is for this time period is that we're going to try to figure out what's going on inside of Britain that's going to allow it to industrialize. Now, the time period we're in is 1760s and 1840s. So maybe some events going on in this time period. 1776 is going to be the American Revolution. The War of 1812 follows thereafter. That's about it as far as I'm concerned, okay, as far as U.S. history is looking at. Now, we're going to come up with 5 things that are happening inside of Britain that are going to allow it to industrialize. Again, industrialization, the moving from these, everybody do this, the substitute teacher is probably looking at you right now wondering what the heck you're doing, to more of using machines. A big press comes down and stamps something. The first major contribution to this industrialization period were natural resources. Natural resources are land, things that come from the land. If we had to look at a map here, sweet Jesus, what is this? If we were going to look at a map of Great Britain, we can see this for sure. Okay, this map here does a really good job of showing us 2 particular items needed to industrialize. The 2 are going to be iron, coal, and the book does not mention this, but oil is also going to be very important. Okay. Now you see this is Great Britain here. Here's Scotland and Ireland. Here's England down here. Here's London where the Olympics were just held. And you can see throughout Great Britain there's 2 major natural resource deposits throughout here. This gray, darker gray shaded area is going to be, obviously you see down here, the coal fields. The squares are going to be iron ore deposits. Okay, so you have plenty of iron, plenty of coal. Now, we need to figure out, well, so what? You have all this stuff, what can you do with it? Okay? Coal itself is a heating source. Black, hard, burns for a long time, gets hotter. It's also better than using timber, because as you cut down timber, the country doesn't look as beautiful, and it depletes your wood source that you can be using for other things. All right? Iron itself is an item that's going to be used to produce steel. If you think about industries, I think of like metal, machines that require steel and able to produce something. Like all the machines I'm looking at that are running through my head are byproducts of steel. Railroads need steel. Skyscrapers need steel. Even a sewing machine needs steel. So the ability for have large deposits of iron are going to be able to have then large production of steel as well. Now, the one that the book does not mention is oil, and I think oil is also very important. Okay, now let's think about this. We have two metal pieces. Everybody do this. Hands together. Now rub them. Hard. What's happening? Ah, yes, it's heating up. Now, what happens to metal when it heats up? Say it out loud. Right, it expands. So as we have two metal pieces that are rubbing against one another, they start to expand, and as metal expands, it has no room to go. So we use oil. All right. Now, oil creates a thin line, a lubricant, in between two metal surfaces that avoids them from rubbing to one another. This happens also in vehicles. We put oil in our engine so that the pistons don't simply rub on the engine block, okay? And it creates a thin barrier between each. Boy, do I look ridiculous doing this in the hotel lobby. All right? Now, in terms of oil, sweet Lord, what's this again? All right? We'll look at this map here, and this does a good job of showing us the amount of oil deposits inside of Great Britain. So we can see, particularly around here down by London, where a lot of this is going to happen, large deposits of oil. Okay, so three major resources needed. We're going to be coal, iron, and oil. All right, now again, you should be writing this down. Okay, write this stuff down, put it in your notes. The second major thing is going to be human resources. What I mean by human resources is I mean by workers. All right. So there was plenty of labor. If you don't have labor, you're not going to be able to come up with ideas. You're not going to have workers. You're not going to have inventors. You're not going to have anything needed to produce something. Now, this population explosion, was a result of the agricultural revolution. We have more food, therefore we can have more people. All right. Now, this was kind of a downfall because as we had more people working in industries, that means that there's going to be less emphasis on agriculture. So the supply of food might decrease. And so what we see in some nations is that as they industrialize, there is going to be a lack of food. Okay. A third major contribution to why Britain industrialized is going to be new various technologies. Now, the book says these aren't causes to the Industrial Revolution, but I am thinking they are. I'm going to have to disagree with the book. So, all of these new technologies were developed during the scientific revolution, and we had things like the steam engine, wind and water power. All that stuff is going to make producing a product that much more efficient. The fourth thing are going to be the economic conditions. So we're looking at the economy of Great Britain at the time. And what we know about Great Britain is that they're filthy rich. Why are they filthy rich? Because they went out and colonized every part of the world, 33% of the land. And as they have 33% of the land, they have all this stuff going inside of Britain. And if you remember back to the video, the tea, cotton, tea and cotton. I'm drawing a blank on another one that they had mentioned. Sugar was the other one that they had brought in. Okay, so they have a lot of money. So as Britain goes on explore, that results in a lot of wealth. Now that leads into two things. One is that as there's a lot of money, there are now people who want to risk their money to make more money. We call those individuals entrepreneurs. Anybody who takes their own personal wealth and invest it is now as an entrepreneur. So these people who are very, very rich, who want to take their money, come up with an idea, and make money. Think of every industrialist you know. Henry Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Edison. All individuals who had ideas, invested their personal wealth, and became filthy rich. Okay, same thing's going to happen in Britain. This wealth also results in something else. There's more demand for good. Because people now have more money, the demand for the good is going to increase. So if my income just increased from $100 to $300, and do I want more goods? Yeah, I'm going to go out and just buy a bunch of stuff like I always do for no reason. All right. So how does this contribute to the Industrial Revolution? You have to have a demand in order to sell products. If you don't have a demand, you're screwed. Last one, the political and social conditions. Now, let's think about this. What allowed Europe to go through a renaissance? What allowed Europe to have an agricultural revolution? A time of peace. Ah, yeah. So Britain at this time, do you think they're like fighting massive wars and facing plagues, and all hell's breaking loose? No, I don't think so. What's going on in Britain at the time is that they are in a time of peace and stability. Everything's chill. Everything's cool. And as everything's cool and everything's chill, now you can worry about certain things, particularly focusing on your industries. Okay, so the 5 major things that allowed Britain to industrialize: 1 is natural resources, 2 is human resources, 3 is technology, 4 economic conditions, meaning that people are very, very wealthy, and the 5th is going to be political reasons, as like the government was very stable, the people were very, very peaceful. Okay, so this is it for the lecture part. All right, now you have a task here. It is debatable whether when a country industrializes is beneficial or does it have more negatives. So are there more things that we receive from the Industrial Revolution, or are there a lot more negatives that we receive? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to create a T-chart, and you can put this right on your paper right underneath your notes. And I want on the left hand side you put positives, on the right hand side I want you to put negatives. And what I want you to do for the rest of the class is I want you to research positives of the Industrial Revolution. What benefits do we gain from the Industrial Revolution? Okay, and on the flip side, what negatives happened because of the Industrial Revolution? Okay, now as you see down here at the bottom, you want to be specific and make sure you know what you're talking about when you're writing them down, because tomorrow you're going to have to create a persuasive essay and you're going to have to convince somebody that there are more benefits than negatives, or vice versa, that there's more negatives than benefits. So T-chart listing positive and negatives. Okay, I miss you dearly, and I hope that you have a great, wonderful, amazing